I know it's always quite similar on senior night, but with Max being out there tomorrow, what are the emotions going to be like for you?
Well, senior nights are a complicated and uh, they're a rough deal emotionally, but because we've got a job to do. If everyone, we don't get to, we're not scheduling a non-one game to celebrate senior night. I mean, it'd be great if we did. And this is a Mountain West uh, game that has lots and lots of implications outside of the Mountain West and beyond. And so the focus is still accomplish the mission. And it's a neat deal for the fans to be able to honor and see these guys one last time and give them their appreciation. And I think if you kind of try to keep it in that box a little bit, we'll have moments outside. We got the senior banquet, things like that. And it's not our last game that we'll all ever play together. So you try not to let it, you try not to have those moments just yet.
What has it meant to you, and your family just the last 6 years with having Max on the team?
It's been, just a pretty remarkable experience. And I think I touched on it a while back. Bob McKillop sent me some texts about, and, helped give me good perspective of how fortunate, I am to have got to do this in Max and how it worked out so well as far as, with the way he was with this team and how many games he won for us and all those things. And so I think being able to have some perspective of how much it means when you look back, because you don't usually stop and look back while you're in the middle of it. But, he and I have really appreciated this year especially where, everywhere we went, we're like, hey, this is the last time you and I will be together at Nevada, at Colorado State, so we were able to soak in those environments and the competition together and all that stuff. So I think that, that let us appreciate it more. And, with the COVID having an extra year, you get to appreciate it more because it's not gone as quick.
On the court, though, I mean, the top 15 scorer in program history is, winningest player in program history, going to be one of the winningest players in Mountain West history. I mean, everything he was up against, being coach's kid, whatever, a local kid coming in here. I mean, what can you say about the career he's put up?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, and it is because, he saw all those and heard all those things all along the way. And the bottom line with him that I'm most appreciative of is what he would do to help us win games, and that's all he cared about. He really didn't care about percentages. He didn't care about numbers. He'd shoot a half quarter, that knocks down his percentages, those kind of things. He just, all he cared about is, I'll do anything to help this program win, and it reflects on how many wins he has. And so, that's what he was about, and he was a great leader for a lot of these guys in the way he competes. And, he's not the most vocal guy every day at practice and all this and that, but he is who he is, and you got to let those guys be who they are. And what he is a fierce competitor and does, this, and again, and he's a guy that the name on the front of the jersey, I mean, this is no different than the guys we have, all these guys, this program means everything to him because he's been in it for 14 years since I've been here. And, he's sat courtside, he's traveled with us, since he was a little kid, he's been able to watch it up close and personal. So it's just meant everything to him to be a Boise State Bronco. And, that's, there's been some great ones here in all kinds of sports, and all the great ones had one thing in common. They cared about Boise State and they cared about winning. And Max does that, it means more to him than anything.
Coming out of BK, I know he had plenty of opportunities all across the country to play, but you saw what you guys had coming. You saw what you guys were doing. You had the first hand and said, "Hey, no, this is where I want to be." What's that say about the program you've built? That he was able. He did want to pass up these bigger opportunities. Not only bigger opportunities, but other opportunities across the country.
Yeah, and a lot of those, people would watch him play and then figure out, oh, his dad's the coach, and so that kind of, I think that limits a kid too, because every coach thinks, well, if he's any good, he's going to go play for his dad, and but there were some that pursued him real hard, and Max was always grateful for those guys and that had a lot of belief in him. But he did. He wanted to be part of this because he just loves this community, loves the program, all those things. It does it. And if we didn't have a great program, just like any of these other guys, might have gone somewhere else. You know, that's so. But he will be missed. And you know, the funny thing is, probably a lot of the, you know, some people there's always critics in everything, but I think critics will look back and they'll be the ones like, God, when we had Max, we would win those games or find a way. You know, they'll be that because he does the intangibles that, you know, like a perfect example. And we got a lot of them is, you know, the Fresno game, just that little where he knocked the ball out of that big guy's hand. We hit a three because of it. I mean, we were in, you know, they would have had the ball with about a minute something to go, up one, and just. He's got a ton of those intangibles, not to mention the, you know, 12-0 run against San Diego State, the 35 down at New Mexico, and those things jump out at everybody, but it's the small things that the staff and these players understand that he does that helps this team.
He was just talking about kind of his future plans, his dream is his future of going into coaching, you know, saying, you know, he's been around, you know, great coaches his entire life, obviously Coach Few, you know, Tommy Lloyd, just kind of what's, you know, what do you see in his future as a coach, and you know his knowledge of basketball?
He's going to be a great one, and you know I always listen to my players, and you know because when they're out there, they're you know especially the older ones get a good feel, and so you know I'm always trying to get input from these guys. But Max is a guy that you know I've always said this about Coach's kid, you know like with Kobe Carl. Well, if he was a 30-year-old coach, he was really about a 45-year-old coach because he's been around it those 10, 15 extra years as a, you know, that's all you do. That's your whole life. And he's just got, the best thing about Max is his remarkable feel for the game and feel for the big picture and players and combinations and who's good and what you can, you know. So he's gonna be a tremendous coach someday. I don't doubt that.
What about the challenge of Nevada? It seems like forever since we played them. It was one of the earliest league games. So since that game until now, how have you seen them develop?
Well, they're playing great. You look at what they've done. They've won 5 in a row, and 6 out of the last 7, I think, and one of the hottest teams in the league. And they're just really clicking. And you know, they have that game to go into Colorado State and win that on half quarter and. I mean, they're just doing some great things. Coach Alford's done an amazing job, him and his staff and these players. You know, they just, you know, well, they got 24 wins for a reason. And they're really, really clicking. And, you know, this is just another great Mountain West team coming in. And, you know, you can try to differentiate and go, well, is this team the best? Is this team? You can make a case for them, no doubt. And, you know, and, that's not. I think in this league there has been, you know, with this many good teams, there's been teams that haven't been talked about as much as for whatever reason, as far as how good they are. And Nevada, you know, I would throw us in there with Nevada. Both of us have kind of. It's funny that way. I don't know why, but they're stacking wins and they're doing great things. And credit to the whole program for that.
They won the last 2 without Blackshear, so
Yeah, that's another thing. They were clicking these are the last 2. I mean, they were really clicking. They were sharp. They were shot makers, and you know, they're bringing in an experienced guy that replaced him, and you know, and boy, they stepped up.
You might have just preferred to play the last place team and have an easy win or whatever, but I mean, do you like the way these final 3 games have kind of lined up? Big games, end of the season, a lot on the line here. You kind of control your own destiny against the teams you need to beat.
Well, there's pros and cons. You know, you'd like I said, a Division II team tomorrow I'd be pretty happy about that. No offense to Division II, I know there's a lot of great ones, but no, it's, you know, but we do, like I've said a million times, we do a good job of compartmentalizing it. You know, when it's not, you know, you're playing most of them twice anyways. So now's you know, I think the timing of. You know, I always say that it's not who you play, it's when you play them. And I think both of these teams are really moving that direction, and we certainly have been, and they have been also. So, but you want meaningful games in March. That's where they have not only conference meaning, but they have national meaning, and this game certainly does that.
What is Sam Winter meant to the program?
Sam, he's you could not get a better team guy. I mean, I say that, I'll say that about all these guys, a lot of them in general, but Sam is one of those unsung heroes that will do anything for the team. And, in 4 years of, there's, knock on wood, but we've been really fortunate with not getting a lot of injuries this year. But when you have guys like Sam that understand how not to do that, they don't run into guys, when they're doing the scout team, they just have such a great feel. They know the important when to really, dig in and compete with these guys, when to be like, okay, today's a practice, I just don't run into somebody. And that matters because that's an art. He's never, he's always doing what's best for the team in the classroom, the way he carries himself, the way he represents. I mean, he's going to be a big success, whatever he ends up doing. And I'm excited to watch his future because what a great addition he's been. I'm going to miss him a lot. This whole program is.
Cam has one of the most unique, I would say, basketball journeys going into his
Really
second year, all
does.
the stops he's made. What does that perspective do when he brings that to this team?
Oh, yeah, he's been there, done that, and just to have a veteran, these veterans are great because, they know the things the young guys don't, and they help us. It's a lot more powerful when they're able to bring the young guys along than when we're always having to do it as coaches. When it's player led, it's really powerful. And Cam has gave us these guys a perspective that, when he was redshirting when they won the national championship, so he's seen, how that works and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of value that he brings, not just the playing.
Would the expectation be? Are you planning to have Buzo back next year, or what's going to
Yeah.
Okay.
But what we'll do, and Buzo will sit down and talk. He'll probably be a test the water, and good. That's what we want him to be able to do, and that's really powerful when you can go out and do that. So, and we'll handle that in the off season and figure all that out.
Kind of switching gears here, Coach. Did you hear about Julian Bowie, how he won the state championship? I know you're playing in the game, but got injured, came back in 16-point fourth quarter. I mean, when you hear that,
Yeah.
what do you kind of think?
Well, I saw that. I went out to the game before that, and I even told his parents, like, oh, they have the look. I knew they were going to win the state championship by the way they came out in the first half of the game before. In the first quarter, they were up like 23-2, they had the pieces, not just Julian. They were well coached. They were guarding. They were guys were making shots. I mean, they were a really good team. But Julian was, he was a driven, focused guy to do that. So I'm not surprised. I know how good he is and what he can do.
And I love the family dynamic he has. Like, his uncle coaches him.
Yeah.
His dad coached him. His sister played. Do you like that family?
Yeah, that's why he's such a good fit. His parents are so great, and they another family that just gets it. That's why he'll get better and better and better. Why he's here, because he's hungry for that, and he loves that, and he loves the game. And I love the fact that he was a football guy, and that's why he can get hurt and come back in, and he's got a toughness to him, big time.
Last one for me about him. And just what did you love the most about him when you were recruiting him? Like, what's the thing that sticks out to you the most about him?
I think the thing that I like the most with him and Peanut is they're kind of old souls. I mean, we're not bringing in freshmen. They are mature kids that I draw the comparisons to Tyson's personality, and Tyson was an old soul when we got him here, and that's why he was able to have such a good freshman year. He's so mature, and I see that in both those kids.
Mo maybe hasn't had the impact on the floor these last 2 years, that others have. But what has Mo meant to the program? And this year, he had a long road to get to this point.
Yeah.
Too. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we're really proud of Mo because that's a hard thing, and he's gotten so much better, but nobody gets to see it because, you know, Omar Stanley's pretty dang good, and Cam and Tyson, and so you got three guys that are pretty spectacular in front of him. So he you know, it's just circumstances a little bit, but I'm just really proud of his ability to come every day with a great attitude, and that's so hard to do because he wants to play. And you know, I have a ton of respect for the guys that can do that and still be pouring into their team, and it hasn't ever been about him here, you know, yet. So you just have a ton of respect for guys like that, and it's, you know, but this place has been life changing for him. I think we made him a better player. He's he's 6'11", 7 feet tall. He's going to be able to play after here, and because people like 7-footers, and you know, he's going to get a degree from Boise State and all those things that can be life changing. So this program, he's impacted us, and hopefully we impacted his life in a really positive way.
Have you thought about a dream scenario tomorrow night? You know, Cade checking in for Max, or what you could do to give him a final thing, or trying to get Mo and Sam in the game. I know you mentioned the game mattered, but have your wildest thoughts? Have you given any thought to how the end of the game could go? Or?
You know, like I said, it that's the hard thing about senior night is no. I mean, the mission is the mission, and if you start trying to think about too many things, and you know, it's not a movie and it's not theater. I mean, we're going to have our hands full. You know, we're going to play a great game to be in this game tomorrow, and we certainly played a great game Saturday, and it's going to take that kind of effort. And so to run those scenarios is too much for my tiny little brain.
One more question about Max. Just, you know, in this day and age, having a guy stay in one place for 6 years is almost unheard of.
Right.
I mean, obviously different circumstances here, but, you know, just how special is that to have a player around the program as long as he's been? And even, I mean, that even dates back further than those 6 years, obviously.
I know. Yeah, it is. And that stuff will never happen again. You know, I mean, all the circumstances that had to happen for that to happen, it won't. It just won't. Not with the landscape, not with, you know, COVID stuff. It just won't ever happen again. And so, you know, for us, I guess it worked out nearly perfect.